Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be talking about some very interesting and quite mind-blowing, in my opinion, theories and origins about the movie Coraline. The thing about Coraline that I think has drawn so many people into its web, no pun intended, is that this movie was created for children, yet there are so many dark and psychological aspects woven into it, making it incredibly compelling to adults as well. It's kind of like it's a soft animated horror movie in a sense. But the question I want to ask is, what is Coraline truly about? Does it have to do with appreciating the things you have in life, or is it more about not falling for that which seems too good to be true? Or are there more sinister undertones that we may not have picked up? These are the dark secrets behind Coraline. Now, I'm sure I don't have to say this, but this video will likely contain some level of spoilers, so just bear that in mind if you haven't seen the movie. So in case it's been a while since you've seen Coraline or you just need a refresher, the movie Coraline came out in 2009 and it's a very beautifully crafted stop-motion film. The story revolves around our main character, Coraline, who's an 11-year-old girl who has just moved into the Pink Palace apartment complex with her parents. Within this complex lives a host of colorful characters, including a boy she befriends named YB, who one day while looking through his grandmother's trunk, happens upon a doll that mysteriously looks very similar to Coraline, so he gives it to her. The doll manages to lure Coraline to a small door in the wall of their apartment. She unlocks the door and discovers a passage that once she crawls through, takes her to the other world, where she is greeted by her other mother and other father, characters who look extremely similar to her real parents, except for one detail. Her other parents have buttons where their eyes should be. But Coraline overlooks this at first, because these other parents are attentive and loving to her, cooking her delicious food and creating a garden just for her, whereas her real parents are distant and really don't give Coraline the attention she craves as a young girl. The other mother gives Coraline the chance to stay with her in the other world forever, but there is one catch. Coraline has to let the other mother remove her eyes and sew on buttons in their place. Now, the other mother storyline was actually loosely inspired by an old folktale from the 1800s by an author named Lucy Clifford called The New Mother. And this was further adapted into a story called The Drum in the book More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz, which came out in the 80s. In The New Mother, two sisters come to realize that their new mother is almost like the real mother, but not quite. She's almost human, but not entirely. Essentially, the story follows two girls named Blue Eyes and Turkey. Blue Eyes was named due to her having the same ocean-colored eyes as her father had, and the other girl was called Turkey because there once was a turkey that would roam around on the property, but one day it disappeared, and this young girl was just inconsolable about it as a baby, so that is what she was named after. So the story goes that one day, the two girls were out and about and came upon a girl who was holding a rather strange instrument, which she referred to as a pear drum. The girl said there was a man and a woman living inside this pear drum, and that if the girl plays the instrument, the couple will emerge and the woman will share a secret with her. So of course the two girls want to see this mysterious couple who supposedly live inside this pear drum, but the girl says no, because she only sets the couple loose on those who she deems as being naughty children, where the worse the children are, the better the couple will dance. The two sisters then go home and begin to cry because they so badly want to see these two people dance, but they don't know how they're supposed to start misbehaving. So the sisters embark on a mission to become naughty, misbehaving girls. They break their mugs, they throw their food on the floor, and their mother says that if they do not stop acting like this, she will leave them and the girls will meet a different mother, who she describes as having glass eyes and a wooden tail. The girls think their mother is lying and just being overdramatic, so they go back to the strange girl they met with the pear drum and asked her if there was such a thing as a mother with glass eyes and a wooden tail, to which the girl replies, no, that would be too expensive to make. The next day they go back to the girl, and she essentially tells them that what they did was not naughty enough, because according to her, it takes quite a bit of skill to be a truly naughty child. So the girls go home and try again. They become absolutely awful children until their mother is fed up and leaves. The girls realize what they've done and chase after her, calling for her to come back to them, but their mother disappears. They go back to the girl once again, but she informs the sisters that the couple is gone now anyway, and the girl is leaving today. The girls feel duped because they had been such naughty girls and they weren't getting what they were promised. And the strange girl laughs and said, "I know you were being naughty, and now your mother has left you, and all you get now is a mother with a wooden tail and glass eyes." So the sisters are now left alone in their empty house. They wait for a very long time, but their mother doesn't come back. And then one day, there's a knock on the door. Turkey looks out the window and sees a figure standing there in a black bonnet and a bony arm carrying a black bag. She's not sure who it is until she sees a flash of light on the face of the figure and realizes that the source of that flash came from a pair of glass eyes. Turkey tells her sister that that's the new mother, that she's finally come just like the real mother said she would. So the girls push their weight up against the door to keep the new mother from coming inside, but she keeps knocking and knocking and knocking. Finally, the weight of the girls against the door is not enough, and the new mother breaks down the door, and the girls flee from the house and into the woods, where they continue to live to this day. And sometimes, when the girls would approach the house and peer in through the windows to the place where they were once so happy, they see the flash of the new mother's glass eyes and the sound of her wooden tail as she drags it across the floor. So we can definitely see some similarities from this story to the other mother in Coraline. But a big difference is where Coraline in the movie is able to get away from the other mother and go back to her real mother. Blue Eyes and Turkey have lost the real mother completely, and their only choice now is this new mother or nothing. Moving on, there are also some interesting things that you may have missed in the Coraline movie that foreshadow events that play out later on. And we'll start off with when Coraline goes into the other world for the first time. She meets her other father, who plays her a happy song on the piano to welcome her to this new world. But if you really listen to the song, the lyrics tell a story that hint towards something very sinister.
She's as cute as a button in the eyes of everyone who ever laid their eyes on Coraline. When she comes around exploring, Mom and I will never ever make it boring. Our eyes will be on Coraline.
It's almost like her other father is trying to warn her of what's to come in her other mother's plan to sew buttons on her eyes. And the next thing is the wallpaper inside of Coraline's house. Everything in Coraline's space is drab and dull, and of course this is to show how much more exciting things will be when Coraline makes her way over to the other world, but there is an interesting pattern on the wallpaper that you may not have noticed. Lightly printed on the wall are bugs. And this is to hint toward the fact that when Coraline is in the other world and the other mother is making all of this fabulous food for her, the other mother is never seen eating any of this food. And that's because we later see that the other mother only has an appetite for bugs, because she's some kind of creepy hybrid spider. And finally, when the other mother suggests to Coraline that she should go outside and play in the rain and the mud, Coraline finds that strange because her real mother was definitely not keen on the idea of going outside in the rain and gardening and getting all dirty and muddy. But then Coraline notes that it's not even raining outside, so how are they supposed to go outside and frolic in the rain? And that's when a bolt of lightning cracks open the sky in the window beside Coraline, indicating an impending thunderstorm. And what you may not have noticed was that the shape of the lightning bolt was actually that of the other mother's needle-like hand that she has when she's revealed in her true form as the beldam. So now I want to get into a very interesting psychological theory surrounding Coraline, which absolutely blew my mind, if I'm being completely honest with you. Because this idea has never crossed my mind in the slightest all of the times that I've seen this film. And that is that Coraline has to do with the topic of mind control, specifically intertwining that of the MK Ultra program. So the theory lurking out there on the internet is that the story of Coraline depicts a mind control scenario similar to that which was practiced in the MK Ultra program, called monarch programming, which is a very twisted form of mind control that I may speak about in another video if you guys would want to see that. But essentially, at its barest bones, the theory revolves around a manipulator called a handler who would essentially program someone to be at their mercy. So in other words, a slave. And according to this theory, the first scene in the movie where an old doll is being transformed into a new one is a depiction of mind control programming, further believing that the intro can be symbolizing how people in the MK Ultra program were taken, stripped away of their old personality and rights, which can be seen within the transformation of the doll, with the old clothes being removed, for example, symbolizing abuse. Eye buttons being ripped away, meaning that the slave is forced to see things the way the handler wants them to be seen, as well as the stuffing of the doll being pulled out, representing their core persona being forcibly removed, so that the subject is essentially just like a lobotomized robot, and then reprogrammed at the hands of someone else, just like the creepy metallic hand that we see making the doll, crafting the subject in the image of that which the handler desires. So it's thought through this theory that by creating the Coraline doll and then releasing it, that the doll maker is hoping the doll will reach its intended target, which is Coraline, and have her turn into the persona that this new doll has had thrust upon it. The article where I came across this theory also discusses how Coraline follows a story structure similar to that of Alice in Wonderland and the Wizard of Oz, where a spunky young girl desires adventure, comes upon a magical land, and then does not want to return to her own reality. And if we hook this into the mind control aspect, it's said that the subjects will often disassociate to escape the trauma they're experiencing, and then enter an alternate reality, so to speak, which allows the sensation of pain to go away. And with that disassociation, removing that pain, the person will most likely want to remain in that alternate world forever. So with Coraline, her going through that little door and into the other world represents that disconnect the brain experiences during that trauma, and the subject enters a world that is amazing and everything they've ever wished for. However, it's often too good to be true, as it's manipulated by the handler. And when Coraline is given that doll by her friend YB that looks exactly like her, Coraline finds herself being taken to places that the handler wants her to go. So in other words, the other mother, wanting Coraline to go into the other world, which is thought to be, if we look at it through this theory, disassociation. But inside this other world, things seem almost normal, but the differences are quite distinct, such as her other parents having buttons in the place of their eyes, which this theory suggests that these are characters the handler has created, and that the other mother is really the handler in disguise. And since this other world is giving Coraline everything she wished she had back in the real world, such as those loving and attentive parents, the yummy food, the gifts, and just overall happiness and color in her life, the other mother, or the handler in this theory, can then discern what it is that Coraline desires and what makes her happy, and therefore knows which buttons to press, again, no pun intended, to emit a positive response from Coraline. Furthermore, the theory states that when Coraline is given the opportunity to stay in the other world if she allows the other mother to sew buttons over her eyes, it's representing Coraline losing her core personality and allowing herself up entirely to the handler and being stuck in the disassociation world forever. Coraline, to me, is a borderline masterpiece. In its efforts to entice audiences of both child and adult in vastly different ways, and its attention to detail and use of color and lack thereof to tell the story, makes this movie such a brilliant creation in my mind. And it's with all of this new information about Coraline that might make you think twice about what it is that you're truly watching.